Hi, in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you 3 different features that you can easily enable inside JetAppointment. The first feature is how to enable the recurring appointments on your booking form. Here's an example of how the recurring payments can look on the front end form. So you have right here a simple service dropdown. We can have a different provider. So let's choose me. And if we go down and choose a date, you can go down here and choose a time. So this right here, where it says repeat this appointment, that's recurring appointments. Once you turn that on, the user will have the ability to choose between day, week, month, or year. So let's go ahead and repeat this every month for 3 months. So you can see right there, if you just click that, it's going to automatically add these 3 different appointments on that day every month. And that's how the recurring payments can look on the front end. The next thing I'm going to cover in this tutorial is how to accept payments when someone books through your form. So if we just continue on this form, I'm going to enter in my email right here. And if you click book now, what this is going to do is redirect the user to a WooCommerce checkout page. And so the user would just put in their information here. And this has the order details of those 3 appointments. And then right down here, I just have a simple cash on delivery payment gateway. This is going to give the ability for the user to pay with all different types of payments. So you can have PayPal here, Stripe, whatever payment gateway that WooCommerce can handle, you can put that in right here. And the last thing I'm going to show you in this tutorial is how to send a custom email to that user or client when they submit their form. So here's an example of what you can send to the end user when they submit the form with recurring payments and have a payment gateway. So as you can see right here, I just have a simple image right here of our logo, some text, and then this right here is a list of the recurring payments. And then right down here is the service that the user selected in the form, and then who the provider was. Now that you understand what I'm going to be covering in this tutorial, let's just jump into the back end and show you how easy it is to set these different things up. Here we are in the back end system for JetAppointments. So you can see I'm underneath the Crocoblock, Jet plugin settings, and then underneath here I got JetAppointments. And it's really easy to enable recurring payments. You just need to go under working hours. And by default, this is at slot underneath the schedule type. What we need to do is click on recurring. And then this is where you can go ahead and enable or disable any of these different days. We can do different weeks, months, and year. So if you want the user to be able to have recurring payments on all 4 of these, you would just go ahead, click here and enable those. But let's say we want to go ahead and make sure that they can't do it per day. You can just turn that off and you're going to see this little box up here shows up. And then you're going to want to make sure that you put in a minimum and maximum amount of times they can repeat. So if you don't want it to go over 5, you would just keep 5 here. But let's do a bigger number as for test. Let's do 10. And now we can just go ahead and all these other settings, they're just kind of the generic settings that come inside the plugin. So now let's go to the front end and see if we can book up to 10 for a week. And let's just see if that works. Here we are on the front end of the website. So let's go ahead and see if I can book a service for 10 different recurring times every month. So as you can see right here, I just chose the service, me. I have a date right here. I chose the time and I click this button right here. So if I go ahead and hit enter for 10, so if you just type in 10 right here, you can see right here, it's going to go all the way May 10th, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so that's 10 months. One thing I will recommend is if you know that you're going to have recurring payments and it falls, let's say that date falls on a weekend and you're closed, it's going to skip that month completely. So if you're going to have recurring payments, you got to be aware that certain days might not be available for that month. So it's going to have to skip to the next month. So depending on your use case, you're going to want to go ahead and change it to be probably available open 7 days a week so you don't run into any conflicts or anything like that. So now I'm going to hit submit and I'm going to show you how this looks on the back end. Here we are on the back end of the JetAppointment. So if you go under appointments, you can see this group right here contains 10 appointments. You can see the user email right here. And then you just want to make sure that you go by ID so it goes from the lowest to the highest. So you can see right here. This is May 10th, then we got June, July 10th, the different times right here. And here's an example. Let's say you already did this service. So if you have someone who is in the back end, you can have them change the status from on hold to completed. So let's say you did the service or whatever it may be, you can go ahead and hit completed. And then this way you have a log of all the different ones that are still on hold and the ones that need to be completed. And that's how easy it is to set up the recurring appointments. Now we're going to go ahead and make it where we can enable payments on that form. The first step you need to do to accept payments on your sign-up form is to install WooCommerce. So you just go over into your plugins, add new. You can just do a search for WooCommerce, and you're just going to want to hit install and activate. Once you activate WooCommerce, there's going to be a step-by-step on entering in your own business information. But to keep this tutorial simple, I just kept everything blank for me. But you're going to want to go ahead, enter in all the information that WooCommerce wants, and then you can go ahead and jump into the settings to follow the rest of this tutorial. The only setting that we need to change on the back end for WooCommerce is your payment gateway. And during the setup process, you might have already entered this information in, but if not, this is how you access your payment gateway. That's under WooCommerce, settings right here, and then up here where it says payments. To keep this tutorial nice and simple, I just have it as cash on delivery. But this is where you can go ahead and click this button right here where it says install. This is the new thing called WooCommerce payments. And as you can see, you can accept all of these things. You can accept Google Pay, Apple Pay, all these credit cards. And then if you do need to accept PayPal or Stripe, you can get started right here. But like I said, to keep everything simple, I'm just going to do cash on delivery. But if you wanted to, let's say, have PayPal, you would just follow the steps, make sure that PayPal is activated, and whatever payment gateway up here is at the top is the one that kind of takes priority. So if you want PayPal, you just want to make sure that's up toward the top, and you just hit Save Changes. The next step you need to do is go ahead back into your JetAppointment settings. So back under Crocoblock, Jet plugin settings, you can see JetAppointments right here. Under general settings, you're going to see this box right here called WooCommerce integration. You just need to toggle that on, and you're going to see right here it says settings saved, so everything is good right there. And if you jump over into the WooCommerce products, you're going to see this new thing called appointment. You just want to go ahead and just keep that as default. You don't need to make any edits to it or anything. What that is it's giving the ability for JetAppointment and WooCommerce to talk to each other. So you need to always make sure that's in there, and like I said, don't make any edits. The next thing you're going to want to do is go underneath your JetAppointments. You can click on services, or up here where it says your different services if you already have this in there. What you need to do is declare a price for each one of these. So if you just jump into this first one right here, you're going to now see this new thing called price per, and you're going to want to make sure that it's at slot. And then right here where it says price per slot, this is where you're going to declare how much that service costs. So you're going to, like I said, make sure that it's on slot and then choose your value right here. And that's it. You would just enter in your information right there and hit update. And if I jump over into the other one, you can see it's the same thing, but a different price. So it's under slot and it's only $100. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is, you see this right here? This is how it's calculating the price for that service. So if you've already set up your JetAppointments and you kind of already know how these forms work, what we need to do is jump into the form builder and add that in there. And you can locate that underneath JetEngine, underneath forms. And in this case, I'm using the static booking form. This is just the generic form. Once you're on the form builder, you're going to notice I have this new one right here called service price and type calculated. So you're going to want to go ahead, just click add new field, and let me jump into that and show you how everything is set up. Once you're in there, you're going to want to make sure you change the type to calculated. And in this case, I just typed in service price. This just kind of makes it a little bit easier to see what it is on the back end. You don't need to worry about label description. And if you notice down here, we have what they call a macro. And they give you all the different available macros, which is really nice and handy. So what you need to do is just go ahead and copy this one right here called field appointment date. You just copy that macro and just paste it in there. That's all you have to do. And then you just need to change a couple other things down here. You can do your decimal places number. I just kept it default 2. And then depending on what currency you use, you can change your symbol right here. I'm in the US, so I just have the regular $ in front of the value. And that's it. You just hit apply. Always make sure you hit apply. I tend to not do that sometimes and it doesn't get saved. So you have to hit apply and then update. And once that is saved, you're going to go ahead and you're going to see that little form right down here is now having the calculation right here. Now, if you want to have that up somewhere else in the form, you can always just click and drag that up. So let's go ahead and let's see if that works correctly. Let's move it all the way up to like before the date. So you're going to see if I hit update, that should move on the form. So if I hit update, that now is up here. So whatever your use case is, you may want to have it above or below. Well, let's go ahead and make sure everything is working like normal. Let's choose a thing here. 8:30. Yeah, you can see it calculates it right here. Then there's one last thing you need to set up to make sure that your form is going to accept payments. And that is underneath where it says insert appointment. You're going to want to go ahead and click that pencil icon. And if you notice, there's a thing called WooCommerce price field. So in my use case, I called it service price. So if you remember, that's what we named it right here. So whatever you name your field with that calculation, it needs to make sure that it matches up correctly right here. So just select that. And then there's some nice features down here too. So if you want to click setup under the order details, this is the different types of formats that you can have for your time and date, whatever it may be. So if you click this, they have the different ways that you can format your date, time, all of that stuff. It can get a little complicated, but there's some good documentation right here. I just kept everything by default, so I'll just hit cancel. And this last section is pretty cool. What you can do here is any information that you might already be getting from the person or the user, you can go ahead and pre-fill that checkout form in WooCommerce. So if you capture all of this information already, you can just click these and select the different field names from up here. But in this use case, I really just have the user enter in their email. So if you look underneath billing email, it's just called user email. So I can just choose that, and it's going to pull in when that user clicks and enters in their email right here. On the next step, they won't have to re-enter that. It's just a really nice feature to have because everybody hates entering in the same information multiple times. So once you set up all of those, you can just go ahead, click apply, and hit update. Now let's go ahead on the front end, make sure everything is working correctly. I'm going to select a service right here and the different provider. Let's choose a different provider, choose a different date. This time, let's do recurring a couple times. Let's do it for 2 months. So you can see May 7th, June 7th. And here is the user's email. So I'm just going to type in test@Wicky Design. So that should carry over into the next step, which is the billing. And as you can see right here, it pulled in test@wickydesign.com. And now you can see underneath here, you can see the different appointments. We got May 7th, June 7th. So everything is looking good. These totals are correct because each one is $100. So the two of those combined is $200. And that's it. Let's go ahead and place order. Once you do that, the user is going to see this order right here, and it has their order number, a date, their email, how much it cost, the payment type, all the good information that WooCommerce is capturing. And in the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can take this information and email it to that user as a custom email. And out of the box with WooCommerce, this is what the admin of the website is going to receive as well. So you can see this is all just 100% built into WooCommerce. The admin or whoever's in charge of the WooCommerce store is going to receive an email like this with the order number, the service, how they paid, here's the different dates. And if we jump into the back end of the website, you go ahead and see that those appointments are automatically added into here. So let's see, it contains 2 appointments. This is the correct services. It was for May and June. So yeah, that all came in correctly. To set up that email template that the user is going to receive, we need to jump back into JetEngine Forms, go into the booking form that you want to have where the user is going to get the email, and underneath where it says Post Submit Actions Notification Settings, by default, you should just see this one in here called Insert Appointment. We need to go ahead, click Add Notification, and underneath there, we need to make sure that it's underneath Send Email. And you can just keep this to Mail to Form From Submitted Form field. You can keep that. And from the From field, we can click the user email. So that's being captured from right here. You can do Custom Email for reply to, and then you can put in whatever email you want. So if that user is going to reply, it needs to go to a valid email. So in this case, just like info@WickyDesign. Here's your email subject line. So this is just, here's your order details. The from name, you want to put in a real name. So in this case, it's Wicky Design. From email address, info@wiki. I know some of this seems like it's kind of duplicating, but that's how it works with emails. Certain providers use different ways in the headers. It's a little complicated. Just go ahead, enter in all of this information completely. This way the user can reply if they need to the email and it'll actually go somewhere. And then the rest of it is actually just regular old school HTML tags. That's how emails work these days. It's still just using really old HTML. Now I opened up the email next to this area right here so we can see what each one of these things looks like when it renders out inside of an email. So the very first tag right here is this image right here, which says Wicky Design. That's just a regular image tag. So what you need to do is upload a smaller image. In this case, I just have it as like a JPEG. Just upload it into your media library. You're going to copy that URL and you can just put it inside a regular image source HTML tag. That's all it is. You just need to enter in source equals the URL, and you're probably going to want to make sure you have some alt text on there. And in this case, I just call it like Wicky Design email logo. That way the user, if it doesn't load up the image for some reason, at least they can see the alt text. So that's how you do the regular HTML image. So you can have images throughout. So if you want to have an image down here, you can put it down there. But it just needs to be regular HTML image source. The next thing is a simple P tag, so a regular paragraph text right here, which is thank you very much for your order. Below is a list of your appointments. So that's right here. That's just a really simple paragraph text. So if you have a whole bunch of text in here, it will eventually wrap inside the email once it gets to the end. The next thing we have is the appointments, and I wanted to make sure that this was a little bit bigger than all the other text so it stands out. And to do that, you can just use a regular H tag. So in this case, I just use an H2 appointments and you close the tag. So you can do H1 if you want it bigger, H3 if you want it smaller, but I don't know. I think in this case, an H2 worked good. Now I'm going to show you how you can display your recurring appointments inside HTML. Now this is a little more complicated, but maybe if you see my code, it will make some more sense. So again, like before, if you look on the right side, they have the appointment macros, and this is what we need to be concerned with right here. We need to be able to list, you can see right here where it says some text. What that text needs to be is your appointment start and end. So if you look right here, I have this opening list mode, which is going to display all of your recurring appointments inside a list. So it needs to be open here, and you're going to see this one right here called appointments list end. So what we need to do is the information in right here where it says some text is actually this right here. And let me show you exactly what all this means. So date and time I put in is just text. So it would just repeat date and time, date and time. Every time somebody makes an appointment, it's going to display that. Now this is where the magic is happening. So every time somebody selects an appointment, this is the dynamic information that's being pulled in like from the database. This is the appointment start and end. So if you look right here, this is when the appointment starts and this is where it ends. So every time somebody puts in a recurring appointment, it will just automatically keep adding them. So if somebody chose 10 of them, it automatically is going to show 10 instead of the 3. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense, because this is the most complicated part about this. You just need to make sure that it looks like this if you're going to do recurring appointments. Again, I'll recap. It needs to be inside the appointments list and list end. So all of your dynamic information needs to be within those two macros. And then the next ones are really simple compared to that one. It's appointment service and the provider. And if you look right here, I just have the H2 tag. I just called it appointment service. And then this right here is called service title macro. So if you look right here, let me see, we got service title. So the name of the appointment service. Like I said, this is going to save you a lot. If you are having issues with trying to figure out what things are, just go ahead and do a lot of testing back and forth and paste these things in and just see what it does. That's how I learned a lot of this stuff, is just trial and error. So in this case, this is called the service title. So this is right here is called single blog post, 2,000 words. That's the name of the service. And then if we jump down here, this is appointment provider. And then I just have provider title. And I got that from right over here. Provider title right there. And if you wanted to have links, you can see right here, this will dynamically add a service link, a link to that provider if you have that information available. So they do give you a lot of flexibility in here. So once you have all of that information in there, you just hit apply and update. That's all you need to do. And let's just do one last test and make sure everything is working correctly. Let's choose this one right here, social media posting, 30 posts. Let's choose Barbara. We'll do the 19th at 10:30. Let's repeat this for 2 years. Just something a little bit different than months. I'll put in my email right here so we can see how the email template's going to look. So mark@wickydesign.com. So let's just recap real quick, make sure we got everything correct. So we have the form. It's going to be $1,000 because each one of those is 500. It shows the date. It repeats twice. We have May 19th, 2022, May 19th, 2023, 10:30, and book. Now we're going to jump over into the WooCommerce form. And I already had this information in my browser cache, but you can see right here, this email address, Mark@Wicky Design. The total is $1,000. Pay with cash. Like I said, if you have your payment gateway set up as PayPal or something, that's going to look different, of course. Just click place order. And that right there is the order for the user. And let's go ahead and check our email, make sure everything came through correctly. And here is the email that we just received. So it's got the logo right here, the text. We have the May 19th, 2022, 2023, the service, and Barbara's on here. Perfect. Now let's just verify that the back end has everything saved correctly. So it should have a new form up here with 2 appointments. We got May 19th, 2023, 2022. Yep, perfect. So everything came in just like it should. There is one thing I recommend that you disable if you know you're going to use that custom email after someone submits a form, and that is to disable the default WooCommerce emails that it's going to send automatically. So if you go underneath WooCommerce settings and then under emails, you're going to want to go ahead and just turn off, I believe, processing order and maybe completed order. And you can see right here, I have this disabled. What this is going to do is WooCommerce is automatically going to send like a confirmation email. So if you don't want a customer to receive kind of like 2 emails for, that one form submission, you could go ahead and just disable that right here. And that's it for this JetAppointment tutorial on how to activate recurring appointments, payment gateways, and how to send a custom email after the form was submitted. Thank you for watching.